Hello, Internet. Today we have ourselves the Ultimate Armor Megaman X. Now, before we take a look at the figure, which is incredibly well done, I'll tell you how much I love this figure, we'll take a look at the box. So this is the same display that you see with the rest of the, it's kind of hard to see, kind of hard to get in frame, with the rest of the Mega Man X figures. And also the package is very similar to the SH Figure Arts. So on the side we have a profile of the figure itself, with Little Rockman X, because that's the way it was translated. The X with accents of little shiny gold on the edges, where if you look at the Zero Type 2 box, the gold is actually red. So if you watch that review, you'll see what I'm talking about. There we have X aiming at you. Here we have a lot more posing options than we do for some of the other boxes. I'm going to use the Zero Type 2 as a reference a lot in this video, because that is another figure that I own that I will be putting up soon. But the back has a lot more information than the Zero did. And the top just has a window continuing down, and then the bottom is just legal garb. So, moving back to the figure, he's done incredibly well. And I know that the camera doesn't want to focus that well. Whatever. I'll get it figured out. About here it focuses well, so I guess that's where we'll do it. So if you look, all the blue is actually translucent, essentially. And the way that that works, this is easily shown with the helmet. So I'll pop it off if I can. I don't think I can. There we go. So if you look, it looks like it's translucent with like silver behind it. But the way that that's done is it's molded in translucent blue plastic and then silver paint on the back, which I think is an incredibly clever design. And it looks amazing too. So that's that. Soles of the feet look pretty cool. The blue looks really great on the legs. Anywhere that you see the blue on this figure, it looks amazing. The gold's done really well. The paint overall is done incredibly. One of the really only problems that I have that kind of bugs me, let's pull the fist off. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's molded in like skin tone tan plastic and then painted white, and that kind of bugs me. I don't know why you wouldn't just mold it in white. Maybe they molded an entire batch in like tan, and then like for the entire figure line, and then they realized that it had to be white. I don't know. Something happened. The faces look great. Obviously you can't tell that much because the camera doesn't want to focus. So overall, though, just the look of the figure is amazing. So before we go into the articulation and such, we will take a look at the accessories. Let's stand X over here. I feel like it's a bad idea. Bad idea again. Stand right there. So in addition to the cannon arm that we have, the X-Buster, we also have an exchangeable other arm, which is just put on by pulling the X-Buster off. Oh, let's just cut myself on that. And then popping that one on. And one thing to note, the arms like to fall off a lot on this figure. Like, I mean, you're not going to shake it and fall off. It's just after you move them and bend them a couple times, they come loose and want to fall off. But, so I mean, if you're going to like play around with the figure a bunch like me, it's not great, but whatever. So we'll put the X-Buster on for the sake of the review. So obviously he has two fist hands, and these are removable by, as you saw earlier, pulling on the ball peg, and it's kind of hard to do. And then you have two open palm hands, and the other one is right here. Hit the camera. There we go. And you just pop the other one back on. I'm just going to put this one back on. I don't know why. There we go. And they're done nicely. They look great on the figure when you get them posed and such. So that's that. We also have two exchangeable faces. We have the one that's on him now, the looking forward face. Neutral looking forward face. Then we have a neutral looking down face, which is really only used for like one specific pose, or maybe if you wanted him to like glare down at something. Whatever. Then we have an angry up and to the right face. And I understand what pose that's for, but it makes it difficult to pose the figure in any straightforward yelling attack, because you have to have the head like that if you want it to look forward. Otherwise, it's just going to look weird. And it kind of bugs me. Like with the Zero head, he had a yelling looking forward face. So that would have been nice if this was included with this figure, but it's not, so whatever. And the heads are keyed, unlike the Zero figure. And exchanging the heads is simple enough. And by simple, I mean if you don't have fingernails, you're going to be on the front seat of the struggle bus, like me. So you got to pull the front of the face off. You can also pull the back off, and I don't know why that is. And then you can just kind of put that helmet together. It looks really nice. And you got to pull the front of the face off, but it's really difficult to do, and I don't want to waste time of the review doing it. So you'll just have to mess around with it in your own time if you own the figure. But once you get them on, it looks really good. So the translucent pieces, like I have done, or well, like I will be doing with the Zero figure, also pointing out all the translucent pieces. So you have one on the forehead, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So he has 12, not including the blue, he has 12 translucent pieces. But if you include these right here, which I'll show you later, you have 13, 14. And I'll show you what those are later. So, continue on with the accessories. Let's see, let's move the faces out of the way. There we go. For his X-Buster, he has these wing-looking things. Not entirely sure what these are for, used in the game or whatever, because, I mean, I love Mega Man X, but I only own 1 through, I think, 6. So anyway. So these are actually keyed. One has a bigger tab than the other. Small tab goes on top. Little tab goes on bottom. And it gives it spikes. Because reasons, I guess. It's displayed a lot with it at an angle, which is cool enough, or all the way over. It looks great. I don't have a problem with it. It's pretty cool. We'll just take them off. He also has an exchangeable X-Buster piece, just like probably every other figure from this line. You pull off the front. This one has the translucent orange, and this one does not. It's not hollow, but you get what I mean. Put that one on, and you can use this drilly bit. Like I said, I know who X is. I do not know that much about this specific armor set. And you have your energy drill attack. Like I said, if it's not from 1 through 6, I don't know what it is. So we'll pull the front off here. Put that one back on. There we go. Also just want to go ahead and point out that Zero is my personal favorite video game character of all time. And I do own that figure, and his review will be going up sometime soon. So we have kind of one more accessory. It'd be easier just for me to show you. So we have these 2 tabs in the back, and we have this. And in case you're wondering, yes, there is purple paper right there, because you'll see. So when it's like this, it has 2 slots in it. Tab it in, like so. I'm not going to push it in all the way. And he has a jetpack thing. But if you take it, flip it over, put it back in, you have, tab that in, tab this in, and this is where the paper comes in. It holds this in because this side was really loose. Same thing with this top joint, it was incredibly loose, so I had to put some paper in there to hold it up. The lower half is still really loose, but whatever. And then you plug that in, and you have an even bigger jetpack thing. So that's that. One of the curious things that I noticed, this piece that you add, pull him off, looks almost exactly like this one, but it's not. And this one you can pull off and remove because reasons, I guess, but it has this big giant peg coming out. So I don't know why that's a thing. Maybe this is supposed to go up into there. I really don't know. Clarity in the comments, please. So I'll just go ahead and put that back on. Oop, I just hit the camera. Pull the jetpack off and run through the articulation. So the head is on a ball peg right in the back of the head. Then it goes down into a ball hinge, and then goes down into a peg. Wow, I just realized the shoulder pad was in the way the whole time. Couldn't really show you. So that allows a pretty good... Let's see, let's get the neck lined up. Pretty good looking down. That's about where it is. Pretty good looking up. You also get left, right a little bit, and rotation. And the neck, I'm pretty sure, is just on a single ball peg. But it acts like it's frozen. I thought I had this moving the other day. I don't know. My neck joint must be frozen. Huh. Weird. Anyway. So, like, even just using the top joint alone, you get an incredible range of motion. So moving on to the shoulders. Oh, wow. Sounds weird. You have a ball peg, goes into the torso, that goes into a ball hinge. And it is a true ball hinge, kind of. So you have this motion here. You can get not that far up, not that far down, but you're mainly going to use it to bring the arm across and for the rotation. And if you use the hinge in there, you can bring your arm up. See? Arm likes to fall off. Bring your arm up to whatever degree that is, because math is not a thing. Bring it down all the way. You can also, you know, rotate it to get the shoulder pad where you want it, whether you want it up or you want it down. It just depends. You can also bring the arm across the chest pretty well. And obviously you get the full rotation. And same thing with the other side. The X-Buster doesn't really change the articulation that much, but we'll run through the articulation for the X-Buster itself, because why not? So it's a double jointed elbow, and it has this incredibly nice cover here that hides the articulation so well and looks just like it did in the game. Except for that right there. That right there kind of doesn't look that great, but whatever. So you can bring it almost full range. On the other side, I guess that you get a little more, because obviously it's not as bulky as the X-Buster. But whatever. The arm's already falling off again. That kind of bugs me. But anyway. And then you do get the bicep swivel up at the top of the joint where the hinge is. So that's that. So the top joint, like I said, was incredibly loose when I first got it, so we went ahead and stuck some paper in there just to keep the thing from always being loose. Like, it couldn't even support the figure. It was always wanting to fall back. So it doesn't go down that far. It goes back, okay. Side to side, pretty good. But mainly you're going to use it for rotation. Where you're going to get most of the articulation is going to be from the lower half of the body, because you get down pretty far, back, okay, left and right pretty good, and the rotation. But you're using these two together, you get pretty good forward, pretty good back, and incredible side to sides with the rotation. So using the two joints together, you're going to get pretty good articulation out of it. The hip joints are pretty good. Kind of not good. Essentially, it's just a contraption. I mean, it's like it has a swivel that turns into a double ball peg with like a ball socket. It's very confusing to have to explain. You're just gonna have to trust me that it's complicated and it works well. And especially hides the joint, especially from the front. It looks just like any character art that you would draw. Although from the back you do get kind of a lot of gapping. But you can kind of play around with it and hide it a little. So you kind of have two joints for the hip itself. You have this right here, but then you also have that. So you can bring the leg forward a little less than 90 degrees. But it also comes out at an angle a little bit, but whatever. You can bring it back really not far. You can also bring it out to the sides. Whatever that is, like 45. And then you have the knee joint. I have a big problem with the knee. So it has this cap here that hides the articulation, and it does it well to a point. If you see how the knee pad kind of comes in at like a horseshoe, it pinches the knee pad and pulls it off. It didn't do it. Didn't do it this time. There, did it on this side. Pulled the knee the knee cover off, actually off the leg. So it just pulls it with it, and so you have to pull the leg off, reset the little joint, straighten the leg back out. This can be kind of difficult to do too. So using the full range of motion that it's given, even though you're going to completely destroy the sculpt, I mean, it doesn't cause any damage to the figure, it just looks ugly, and it shouldn't function this way. You get pretty much full range, and it looks great. But then you gotta if you want your figure to look natural again, you gotta reset it. There we go. So if you want to actually keep that articulation there, like me, you'll probably... Oh, come on. I already did it again. It's ridiculous. Also, you can also... You only get like 90 degrees out of it. But if you hold this... If you hold this joint from falling out of place, you can bring the knee all the way forward and then move your articulation. So as long as you hold this gray part, you can still get full range out of it. It's just really tedious, and it bugs me that, you know, they didn't think that through. Like, I would be okay if you made the sculpt a little wider to keep your articulation hidden. That's okay with me. But they didn't, so... Kind of bugs me. But whatever. So moving on to the feet. These aren't as good as the Zero Type 2s, but they get the job done well enough. So, essentially, the way that it works, if you look in there, it has a ball peg. And then the ball peg comes down to a ball hinge with another ball peg. So, especially for these big, clumsy feet, works really well. So, if you just want them standing, looks great. If you want to bring the foot forward, you can finagle it to where it's really good. And it will look great, especially combined with the knee. Let's see, let's put that back. And then, if you want to bring it forward, you can't bring it forward too well. You're probably only going to get about that much, unless you want to bring the heel out some more. It'll look like that. And you also get a really great ankle rocker out of it. So, if you combine the articulation, you can get some pretty dynamic stances going. So overall for this figure, just as a whole, it's executed well, but it has some flaws that I really wish they'd thought through. I mean, it's still definitely worth picking up if you can hunt it down and find it for the right price. And especially if you don't... Even if you don't own the game that this specific armor is from, it's X. And that's what, you know, X is a pretty cool guy. And I really only bought him to complete the set between X and Zero, but I couldn't find the standard armor X, or the, what was it, full armor X for a reasonable price. I would have preferred one of those two over this one just because they're from the games that I played, you know, when I was much younger. But this figure, I am actually really glad that I bought it, because overall it's just a incredible figure. So I definitely recommend it. I would go and I would hunt it down and find it if you don't already have it. Unless you absolutely hate this armor set or you hate D-Arts for some reason. I mean, they're not really that much of a thing anymore. Play Arts Kai is now supreme, but, you know, I like it. It's a great figure, especially when you compare it to Zero. And now that I'm thinking about it, you're probably wanting to see how he stacks up to Zero, so let me go grab him real quick. He's just right here. Had him on display, so we'll just try to stand him straight. Let's see here. Kind of looks orange in this light. Weird. So let's see here. We got Zero standing straight. Let's pull this backpack off. Put his feet straight. So back to back, their height's about what it should be. Like I said, I had him on display. He was holding his X-Buster. Or his, I don't think it's a Z-Buster. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's an X-Buster. It beats me. Overall, definitely recommend this figure. I recommend hunting him down. So yeah, especially if you can find him for the right price. 100% recommend this figure, and if you can hunt it down, I would suggest getting it. So leave a comment, be sure to subscribe, keep up to date on all my figure reviews and such. I will be posting the Zero Type 2 figure very soon. And I don't know how to end this. It's awkward. Just gonna end it.